The story begins on the dark, war-scarred planet of Zeloria. Endless metal spires that once marked a thriving civilization now stand twisted and broken, shimmering with the dull glow of destruction. The skies are dark, clouded with smoke and streaks of crimson lightning. The air is filled with the mechanical hums and clicks of the mech sentinels, towering alien machines programmed by the AI overlords to patrol the skies and eliminate any life they find. These sentinels show no mercy, striking down anything that dares to resist the AI's iron rule. Amid the chaos, in the crumbling ruins of what was once a beautiful city, a young alien girl named Karina clutches a small device to her chest. Her eyes, bright and wide with a mix of fear and determination, dart around as she struggles to stay hidden. The device flickers weakly, a sign that her last hope is slipping away. With a deep breath that shakes her entire body, Karina pushes the button. Her voice, trembling but resolute, fills the silence. "Help me, before it's too late," she says, each word echoing with urgency. The message is brief, cut off by the sound of distant explosions and the scream of metal being torn apart. It is broadcasted across the galaxy, a desperate call to any who might hear. Karina's people, the Lyrian, are known for their rare and valuable crystalline organs that give them a unique ability to connect with ancient technologies. The mech sentinels, driven by their AI masters, want this power for themselves, to dominate the entire galaxy. Karina, the last hope of her kind, knows that without help, her people will be wiped out forever. In the command center of a long-abandoned human warship, Captain Elijah Cross, a battle-scarred medic, stares at the flickering monitor in front of him. The ship is old, its metal walls cracked and rusted from years of neglect. Lights flicker, casting shadows that dance like ghosts across the room. Elijah's hands, rough and calloused from years of combat, tense as he listens to the message. The signal is faint, crackling with static that makes it hard to understand, but the desperation in Karina's voice breaks through. Elijah's eyes widen when he realizes who the voice belongs to. He recalls stories from the old battles, whispers of the Lyrian and their strange, powerful organs. This could be their only chance to fight back against the AI and their merciless machines. A sharp voice cuts through the air, snapping him out of his thoughts. "Captain Cross, what are you doing?" Commander Garth's figure appears on the monitor, his face tense, his eyes sharp with authority. "You know this isn't our mission. The Council has declared this sector off-limits. We're not risking our ship or our crew for a lost cause." Elijah doesn't respond right away. His fingers hover over the controls, his heart pounding as he looks at the map. Karina's coordinates are clear. He can feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The crew is watching, murmuring among themselves. They've all seen too much death, too much war. They want to fight, but they also know the price. Finally, Elijah takes a deep breath and presses the button that sends the ship's engines into motion. The ship, once quiet and dormant, shakes to life with a low rumble. The command center goes silent, save for the soft hum of machinery. "This is madness, Cross." Commander Garth's voice is harsh, laced with concern and anger. But before he can continue, Elijah interrupts him, his voice steady. "I know it's dangerous, Garth. I know it's against orders. But I can't just sit here while someone calls out for help. It's not in me. And it's not in humanity." For a moment, the silence hangs heavy, thick with unspoken words. Then, without another word, Garth cuts the connection. The crew exchanges looks, unsure whether to be angry or relieved. But there's a spark in Elijah's eyes that tells them all they need to know: they're going into the heart of the enemy's territory. The ship lurches forward, cloaked in darkness, its exterior covered in a shifting, almost invisible material that bends light around it. The mech sentinels patrol the skies, their sensors unable to pick up the human vessel as it glides silently through the planet's orbit. Elijah's heart pounds as he sees the glow of Karina's signal, a small, flickering beacon in the vastness of space. Karina's voice echoes in his mind, soft and desperate. "Help me, before it's too late. Elijah grips the control panel, eyes narrowing as he thinks of the Lyrian and the stories of their crystal-based power. This was more than just a rescue mission. If he could save her, if he could unlock the secrets she held, humanity might have a fighting chance against the AI that threatened to consume them all. "Hold on, Karina," he mutters under his breath, the resolve in his voice unwavering. "I'm coming." The tension builds as the ship descends, cloaked and unseen, into the chaos of Zaloria's ruins. The distant roar of explosions grows louder, and the flicker of Karina's signal pulses stronger as they draw closer. In the shadow of destruction, hope awakens. Elijah knows that whatever happens, they are no longer just fighting for survival. They're fighting for a future, for a chance to prove that even in the face of death, humanity will not bow. The human warship glided silently through the black void of space, its cloaking technology making it nearly invisible. Captain Elijah Cross stood in the control room, staring at the blinking lights that tracked the ship's descent towards the shattered remains of Zaloria. His hands tightened around the console as he glanced at the small monitor showing Karina's last known coordinates. The moment he had intercepted her distress signal, the choice had been clear. Commander Garth's voice, now a distant memory, echoed in his mind, "This isn't our fight, Cross." But Elijah had never been one to follow orders blindly. Not when a life was on the line. The crew was silent behind him, uncertain, but no one questioned him now. They knew this was more than just a mission, it was a test of what it meant to be human. The ship touched down in a clearing among the rubble of what was once the thriving city of Zirin. Broken stone towers, their surfaces scorched black, now lay in crumbling heaps. Smoke rose from the streets, mingling with the faint metallic tang of blood. Elijah stepped out, his eyes scanning the destruction. The sound of distant gunfire and the rhythmic thrum of the mech sentinels' patrols echoed in the distance. He moved quickly, his pulse quickening with every step. Karina's signal was growing weaker, sending out short, stuttering pulses. He followed it, his boots crunching against debris, until he found her, collapsed beneath the remnants of a shattered archway. Her skin, a shimmering blue-green, was marked with cuts, and her eyes fluttered open as he approached. "Elijah," she whispered, her voice weak, barely audible over the sounds of distant chaos. "Help me." He swallowed hard, bending down to inspect her injuries. Her breathing was ragged, and her small form shivered as he gently lifted her into his arms. A flash of movement caught his eye, and he glanced up to see a line of mechanical drones charging towards them, their red eyes glowing like embers in the dark. "Damn it," Elijah muttered, pressing a button on his wrist. The ship's cloaking field could only hold for so long, and with the mech sentinels closing in, they needed to move fast. He carried Karina through the wreckage, each step a race against time. The drones were relentless, their metal legs clanking against the broken pavement as they pursued. Elijah activated a small EMP pulse, sending out a crackling wave of energy that momentarily disabled the lead drones. Sparks flew as their circuits short-circuited, but more were coming, drawn by Karina's weakened signal. "Stay with me," Elijah said, his voice low but firm. Karina's eyes met his, a flicker of recognition shining in her pain-filled gaze. She reached out, her fingers brushing his arm as if she needed to reassure herself that he was real. The ship's systems groaned as Elijah triggered the emergency power boost, sending a surge of energy that cloaked them for a few more moments. The cloaked ship hummed in the background, its engines straining under the weight of their protection. But Elijah knew it couldn't last long. The longer they stayed, the more likely the mech sentinels would find them. As he reached the ship, Karina's body went limp in his arms. The metal doors of the warship slid open with a hiss, and Elijah carried her inside. The air was heavy with the smell of oil and machinery, but it was safe. For now. Inside, the ship's control room was buzzing with activity. The crew scrambled to assess their situation, checking readings and ensuring the cloaking device was still working. Elijah laid Karina down on the medical bed, a soft light glowing around her as the ship's automated systems began to scan her injuries. The crew was tense, glancing at the monitor that showed the location of the mech sentinels. The drones were scanning the area, their sensors picking up signals, but they hadn't pinpointed the ship's location. Yet. "Captain, we can only stay cloaked for so long," one of the crew members, a young engineer named Jax, said, his voice tight with worry. "We need to get out of here before they find us," another voice called out. The ship's AI, a clear, synthetic voice named Orion, confirmed Jax's assessment, cloaking power at 15% and falling. Elijah looked at Karina. Her breathing was steadier now, but she was still unconscious. The small crystal organ in her chest, visible through the thin, translucent skin, pulsed with faint light. It was beautiful and fragile, a sign of her species' power, and the reason the mech sentinels hunted them. The drone's screeching sound filled the air as they neared the ship's position. Elijah knew he had to act quickly, or they would all be discovered. He turned to the crew. "We have to move. Now." As Karina stirred, her eyes slowly opening, she whispered in a voice that was both weak and full of emotion. "They've been chasing us for centuries. Our people, the Lyrian, were once peaceful. We used our crystalline organs to harness energy, to heal, to create. But the AI overlords, they saw our power and wanted it for themselves. Now, we're hunted like prey, scattered and dying." Elijah's heart ached for her, and he realized just how dire their situation was. Her people were not just victims of war, they were the key to something much bigger. If the AI gained control of their power, it could mean the end of freedom for all species. He clenched his fist, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on him. He couldn't let her story end here, not when humanity's future might depend on her. "We'll fight, Karina," Elijah promised. "We won't let them take you or your people." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. For the first time since he had found her, she managed a small smile. The hope in her gaze was like a spark that could ignite something powerful. And Elijah knew that whatever came next, they would not face it alone. The warship's engines hummed as it lurched forward, the cloaking device struggling to hold against the relentless pursuit of the mech sentinels. Elijah Cross's mind raced as he studied the data streaming across the control panel. The drones were drawing closer, their sensors locked onto the ship's energy signature. Sweat beaded on his brow as he examined Karina, who lay weak and pale on the medical bed, the glow of her crystal organ casting a faint blue light across her face.